Not everyone is as crazy as me and buys super expensive smartphones to get the latest and greatest in terms of cameras. Sometimes a mid-range smartphone might be enough. It has great cameras, it has everything that you need. You don't have to pay like double the price to get like a little bit more in terms of quality. And how close you can get to this quality, high quality, and how small you can make the gap between the mid-range and the high-class smartphone, yeah, it depends. And we want to check this out today on the Honor 200 Pro. So let's get started. Just like flagship devices, this Honor 200 Pro comes in a very minimalistic kind of box with not much of content. We just find the phone in here, and this might be not completely true. As you can see here, this is a sample sent by Honor, not for sale. They probably not only include a SIM eject tool, but also some paper materials, and maybe a cable is there inside as well. You can, for 10 euros more, get a charger with it if you need it. So this is quite good, because this charger is, I think, at least 66 watt, if not even 100 watt, the maximum charging speed that this device can charge with. So yeah, pretty minimalistic box, and this is the unboxing experience. Unwrapping the smartphone presents us with this nice ocean cyan look. We have, of course, a boring black and a boring white version, but this one looks pretty fancy. You can see here the Honor engraving and the design. It feels very, very matte, and there it's a bit glossy, but doesn't feel like glossy. It has like a little bit of a pattern there on it, which looks pretty nice. We see the huge camera bump with, I think, it only housing 3 cameras there and a flash, as you see there, but we'll check the cameras out later. Otherwise, we have a speaker on top, infrared blaster, and a microphone. On the left side we have nothing. On the bottom we have a nano SIM slot for 2 nano SIMs. We have USB Type-C, sadly only USB 2.0 specifications, another microphone and another speaker as well. And on the right side we have the power button, no accent button there, and the volume rocker, very stiff and steady, sturdy, so pretty nice. We have a slight curve on the screen, as you can see here. And I will put in the screen specifications there as well. You can see we have 2 cameras there on top, which end up in a pill-shaped cutout probably. Let's turn it on. As you see, we have an AOD that looks familiar to what the Cupertino smartphones look like. So this is the AOD. We have fingerprint reader here that is quite quick and fast in unlocking the device, but also when I use my face, you will see that the little lock symbol there is unlocking pretty fast as well. So yeah, the biometrics and unlocking is working very fast. By default, you have swipe down and get into the search, and this has some other apps there as well, but you can change it in settings if you want to. We have large folder settings here as well, but what I wanted to show you is the storage that we have here. So we have 512 gigabyte model here, and we only use 26.52 gigabytes, so we have 485 gigabytes available here on the Honor 200 Pro by default. In terms of applications, besides My Honor and their app market, we have the Google apps and some bloatware like TikTok, AliExpress, Amazon, Netflix, Facebook, Booking, and the rest I think is this top apps like Trip.com, WPS Office, Amazon Music. You have to decide if you like those or not, but I think it comes pretty clean overall. What do you think? As usual, the Honor doesn't show any update as long as you don't put any SIM card inside. I inserted the SIM card right now, and immediately I get a new update here that will download the July 2024 patches. We are now roughly at the end of August, so I hope that next month we will get the August patches there as well. And this end of this year, I think we should get monthly updates, and maybe next year then it will be quarterly updates for this mid-range device. Not bad, I would say. And yeah, we'll test it out, of course, on this latest update that is available for me. The pill-shaped cutout here on the front-facing camera houses a 2 megapixel depth sensor and a 50 megapixel sensor as well here. And this one doesn't support this 3D face unlock, though I think maybe the depth sensor will help a little bit, but this doesn't give you the advantage of the Magic 6 Pro, for example, that you can in total darkness unlock your phone because it has a 3D depth sensor. No, this is not possible here. So this is only a 2D face unlock that you can use on the Honor 200 Pro, even though we have this pilled cutout on the front. Here, just to show you the difference between those two, this is the Magic 6 Pro. You can see it's automatically turning on as soon as it detects my face. So let it die out maybe, and you will see as soon as it detects my face, it is like turning on again. And this is not happening on the Honor 200. If I have to take it up, and then it detects like motion and then it turns on. So these cameras are not always on and are not detecting the face there. And here it is detecting the face. So as soon as I come in with my face, the Magic 6 Pro is showing up the always on display, which is quite nice. In terms of cameras, we have a triple camera setup here featuring the main camera sensor, 50 megapixels. Then we have a 2.5 times optical zoom 50 megapixel sensor there as well. And we have a 12 megapixel ultra wide angle on the back. And on the front, in the pill cutout shape, we have a 2 megapixel depth sensor as well as a 50 megapixel front facing camera main sensor as well. And I think we check out those cameras on a quick look. This is the front-facing camera here that we have on the Honor 200 Pro, ultra-wide angle, 0.8 times magnification, using the external mic, and we have here 4K 30 frames per second recording possibilities. I can zoom in to 1x, which looks like this. Is a tiny little crop there on the 0.8x. How is stabilization here? The cool thing about this phone is that at 4K 30 frames per second, I can use all camera sensors, not only the front-facing camera sensors, but also the back-facing camera sensors. So if I want to show you something, by the way, HDR is not so great here, that I'm seeing right now, I can just switch the camera lenses. There will be a slight delay in audio, I think. But here you can see now the main camera sensor and also recording 4K 30. As you see here, the 50 megapixel sensor there. We have the possibility to zoom in. Let's try to zoom in on some flowers there, for example. So let's zoom in here. It is a crop a little bit because of the stabilization from 2.5 to 3x actually, where it's cropping into the other 50 megapixel sensor that we have here. We get nice bokeh, I think. We can get maybe also quite close to some objects. As you can see here, it's switched to a macro mode there, quite nice. And if we want to, we can also go to the ultra wide angle. The ultra wide angle, I think, doesn't have any autofocus, or does it? Maybe it has autofocus, but doesn't have this great macro capabilities that the 3x lens has. As you can see here, can get quite close to these flowers. Let's go back to 1x and let's go into a vlogging kind of style. This is how it would look like if I would vlog with the 1x lens on the back. It's the largest sensor here, so it should perform the best. What do you think? These are the default colors here with the default video profile mode, 4K 30 frames per second, and this is the maximum resolution and I think also the maximum frame rate here that you can record with. We can also switch to the ultra wide angle if you want to really do vlogging style. Then maybe the ultra wide angle might be better, like a more action cam kind of view. Stabilization should work fine. Audio quality should be also pretty nice. So what do you think about the quality here of the Honor 200 Pro? And just a small little nitpick there. I said 4K 60 frames per second is not supported. It is supported, but you have to turn off the AI that is by default enabled, of course, for the video mode. And then you can record 4K 60 frames per second, but only on the main camera sensor and the 2.5x optical zoom. So let's try to zoom in. And the cool thing is here at 60 frames per second, of course, it is ultra smooth. This switch here of the camera. Do you notice even the switch of the camera is super fast and super crazy fast and good and smooth. So no issues there at all. And by the way, what you hear now are the internal mics of the Honor 200 Pro. So just that you have heard those as well. How do they perform in comparison, of course, with the external mic? The external mic might be better, but what do you still think about this one here with the internal mics? Check out some photos that I took with the Honor 200 Pro. First of all, some macro photography with the 2.5 times zoom. As you can see here, we can get nice and close, but we can get even closer. So this is the closest possible. And then with the dedicated super macro mode and the 1x there, I think it's utilizing the 1x sensor there, we can get even closer and you can see how much detail we have there. So it's pretty impressive that we can go so far. Selfie is not spectacular, but it's also not bad, I would say. So the sharpness is there. HDR is also nice. It's looking fine. And also the portrait mode here is handling the sunshine nicely. Not overexposed. Sharpness level is okay, I would say. And the cutout, yeah, it's also not hard in this case, but it's also okay. So yeah, portraits with the selfie are okay, but the selfie cam doesn't have any autofocus. I think the predecessor had autofocus on the selfie cam that would have helped with more details. The main camera sensor is also nice and large. You can see we get nice bokeh there, a little bit of color fringing there going on. The details are nice, HDR is nice as well. So it's not maybe the best kind of a sensor, but a very good one. In terms of color profiles, by default, the Honor 200 Pro is using the vivid color profile that you can see here. So we have very punchy kind of colors, the yellows, the blues, and so on. Then there's a natural mode that looks a little bit less punchy, as you see here with the blues, and also the yellows. In comparison, again here, way more punchy, the yellows and the blues. So yes, I took most of the shots with the vivid mode, the default one, but the original one might be something that people might like a little bit more when it comes to being a little bit more natural. This is a zoom shot. Here we have the 2.5 times zoom, and I cropped in, actually this is the 2x zoom that you see here. So there's a crop in from the main sensor. This is the 2.5x zoom. See, the difference between this and this is not so much. So I'm not sure why they didn't opt for a 3.5 times zoom instead. Anyway, we can, to the 2.5 times zoom here, which looks okay, I would say, we can crop in to 5 times, which is the 2 times crop in for 50 megapixel sensor, shouldn't be any issue. And you can see, I think it's holding its quality. There's a little bit of editing that you can see and sharpening definitely to make this a little bit sharper. And then this is 10 times zoom. I can see it's struggling already there. I wouldn't use the 10 times zoom. I would go up to maybe 5 times. And this is then, I think, 30 times, something like this. You can see it's like a modern art that we have here. So in general, I think with the cameras, the quality, it's okay for the price. I like that the 2x, you can see the 2x and the 2.5x are very similar in terms of color calibration, which is quite nice. But 2.5x, yes, it is more for portraits. And this is something that I also want to try out. I want to show you how does it look like with the dedicated Harcourt portrait mode. So Harcourt style, when we go to portraits, what we find first is the Harcourt mode, and by default we have the vibrant mode active. We can also go to a Harcourt color mode, and we have the classic Harcourt classic mode. This is why it's called classic. And this one is a black and white mode, as you see there. And yeah, to be completely honest, I never heard about Harcourt before, but I know this black and white kind of style for sure. So we start off with the Harcourt vibrant mode and check out how it's the first picture. As you saw also that we have 2x magnification by default, and this is what you get with the Harcourt vibrant kind of style. And here you see the bokeh is a bit busy for sure. It's a bit like colorful. The cutouts are nice. The sharpness that it adds to my face is also nice. And for 2x zoom or crop on the main sensor, I think it's doing quite a nice job. Just as a comparison here, the same shot with the Harcourt colors, you can see that we have overexposure there in the background, so the HDR is not as nice, but the color on my face is much nicer. Look at this here with the bluish and greenish kind of tint, and now compare it with this kind of warmish tint. In terms of sharpness, I don't see much of a difference there. The bokeh is also the same as we had before. And of course we can have, besides the color one, we have the classic black and white that looks, I think, the best and is more iconic for this kind of portrait style that Harcourt stands for. And of course outside you can also use the sun to illuminate your face with this black and white mode. You can have even a selfie kind of mode when you want to use the back-facing cameras, however, because the selfie cam doesn't have the Harcourt portrait style. But yeah, you can get away with this. As you see here, it's looking nice. The sharpness and details are there for sure, and you can play a little bit with the light, especially in the black and white mode. That is the best here for the Harcourt style. Then there is 2x zoom as well that you can use here. I think I used 2.5x here for this in the Harcourt color mode here, which looks also quite nice. And then we have the vibrant mode again here with this kind of bluish kind of tint there in 1x as well. So overall, I think the Harcourt portrait styles are quite unique, but they are nothing else as spectacular as filters. And I think some other smartphones are doing quite some better portraits in this regard. So what do you think about this one here? I think the best that you can get out of the Harcourt styles is definitely the one without color, because it adds a little bit of uniqueness to the shots. What do you think? When it comes to the performance, the Snapdragon S Gen 3 is working quite fluid. It's like on par, I think, with the 8 Gen 2, at least when it comes to CPU performance. It looks pretty fast and quick. Nice animations there. GPU might be a little bit lower there, so if you try to play games here, be aware that it is not as fast as the 8 Gen 2, but the rest is like quite quick, as you see, without any lags or hiccups, which is nice. And this is not even running at 120 Hz, because we have also the ability to run it at the full speed 120 Hz. Here it is like, I think, running at roughly 90 Hz right now, but you can choose the screen refresh rate to be high instead of just dynamic, and then you can even manage the applications that should run at the highest speed there, and then you get an even more fluid animation and working experience with this device. Also with the RAM that is on board here, we don't have any issues with multitasking, so all the applications that you want to run are nicely kept in memory. And of course it has to reload when I want to show it to you. We have a nice large battery here with 5,200 milliampere hours for such a thin device. You can see this is quite interesting. We have 100-watt wired charging, which is also very, very good there. And we have 66-watt wireless charging. So this device can also charge wirelessly very quickly, which is quite nice as well. Otherwise, in terms of connectivity, you can put in 2 dual nano SIMs, or you can also have an eSIM that you can install on here and also use the eSIM for data connectivity or calling, which is quite. By default, there's no haptics when you type on the keyboard, which I find a bit disturbing there. So I noticed that in settings, it is turned off under sounds and vibration. But if I turn it on here, it's also not doing anything, because when we go into settings and we go into sound and vibration and scroll down to more settings, the system haptics are turned off. So you can turn them on, and then if you start typing, then you feel a little bit of haptics there. And I'm not sure why they disabled it, because the haptics are quite nice here on this one. It is a bit subtle, reminds me of the Magic 6 Pro, so very, very subtle kind of haptics that you get on typing on the keyboard, but it's still very, very good. So yeah, the Honor 200 Pro has a good haptic motor or engine here, so it should work nicely and should be enabled by default. In terms of audio, we have 2 speakers, one on the top and one on the bottom, and yeah, let's listen to them. Full volume. quite good. Very loud speakers. They vibrate a little bit on the back, especially on the bottom there, the top half not so much. And they have a bit of a full and rich sound to it, so they are not like sibilants in any way, and the highs are not too harsh there. The bass there's a little bit of bass there as well, which is quite surprising, and I would say this is, for this kind of price, one of the best sounding smartphones in this category. In terms of customization, we have all the customization options of macOS 8 here, so we can set a wallpaper for the lock screen, and for our normal home screen we can set up things here. As you see, we can use the colors, and we can set everything the way up we want to. When we want to have a different font for the lock screen, we can choose here. We can even choose the color there as well, so everything nicely configurable here to the way you like it. You end up with a quite nice theme like this, for example, that you can then use, and it looks like this, the default wallpaper. I don't like, it's too bright, but this one here comes also within the package and looks much nicer. Look how great this font looks like on the lock screen, and then it changes to this one here. So yeah, very nice device here, I have to say. I like the OLED screen, especially as it gets very bright, and we have PWM dimming that doesn't give you any issues at night at all, which is also quite nice on this device. A very compact, slim, nice mid-range device, and actually I have to say, if I don't need to have the latest and greatest and the best in terms of cameras, this one here is definitely the right device to get, especially if you want to save some bucks here, because the cameras are not so bad, I would say, on this device. And yeah, the display is great, the brightness is great. The only thing where you are really, or where they really saved upon, is USB Type-C. It's only 2.0 speed, which is a bit of a bummer, because this means that when you want to copy things over to an external drive or from this device, it will take a while, especially for longer videos. Everything else here they didn't cheap out on. The display is nice, the speakers are nice, the microphone quality is nice. All over the place, this device offers a great performance and is really a great device that I think doesn't really have anything that can beat it at this price point. OnePlus 12R maybe, but this one is lacking then in terms of camera performance. It has way better cameras here with the ultra wide angle and the telezoom. I think the Xiaomi 13T maybe comes close. That has a similar kind of camera setup, but then lacks this great kind of display, lacks this great kind of stereo speakers, and lacks the powerful chip inside there with the great battery life that we have here on the Honor 200 Pro. So I'm quite satisfied with the Honor 200 Pro in my first impressions. This is a great mid-range device, and basically it was already visible from afar. The Honor 50, the Honor 70, the Honor 90, all devices were progressively getting better and better, and this Honor 200 Pro now deserves the name, because this is like the best of the series right now, I would say, and definitely reached a point where it's very close to a flagship phone. I think with USB 3.0 speeds there, and maybe a better ultra wide angle here and autofocus front facing camera, this would be a flagship, and I would even call it then flagship killer for what it can provide. Nevertheless, this one is a very good one, and especially if you can find it for a discount, maybe then 500 euros maybe, then this one is definitely something that you can and should get. I would say I will of course compare it with some other devices, and I think I will also compare it with some flagship devices that are or were available for a similar kind of price point. I'm thinking about the Nubia Z60 Ultra, but you can write down in the comment section which device should I compare this with in terms of camera performance. And yeah, this is basically everything for this short little video about my first impressions of the Honor 200 Pro. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Until the next time. Bye.